Chief Basie lived in a huge house with high walls and a large gate. Almost everyone in the neighborhood talked about how rich he was. He had 2 wives, Eket and Adanma, and they both stayed in the house with him. The house was so big that many people worked there: cooks, gardeners, drivers, and a gateman named Kola. Every morning, Kola stood by the gate and greeted everyone who came in or out. He was tall, strong, and always ready to help. But that was not the main reason people whispered about him. One hot afternoon, 2 housemaids named Bisi and Aisha were standing by the kitchen door. They had just finished washing vegetables and were now wiping their hands on clean towels. They looked around to make sure no one else was listening. Then Bisi leaned close to Aisha and said, "Have you heard what people are saying about Kola?" She whispered in a low voice, as if she was afraid the walls could hear her. Aisha's eyes went wide. "What are they saying?" Aisha asked, looking around quickly. She did not want anyone to catch them talking about personal matters in such a big household. If the wives found out they were gossiping, they could lose their jobs or be scolded. "They say Kola is special," Bisi said with a small giggle. "I heard from the driver that he is bigger and stronger than anyone else in some ways." She nudged Aisha with her elbow, and they both started laughing quietly. They were trying to keep their voices down, but their excitement made it hard to stay silent. Just then, Eket passed by in the hallway, right behind the partly open kitchen door. She heard bits of their whispering. She stopped for a moment, wondering what could make the 2 housemaids giggle so much. She caught the words "bigger and stronger." At first, she wanted to scold them for gossiping during work time. But her curiosity got the better of her. She leaned closer to the door, trying to hear more, but she only heard giggles. She decided she would ask them later if the right moment came. Eket was a quiet woman who carried herself with grace. She was Chief Basie's first wife. She had smooth skin, always wore neat clothes, and liked to keep her chin up when she walked. Most of the staff respected her because she hardly ever raised her voice, but everyone knew she could be strict if things did not go her way. On that day, she went back upstairs, thinking about the strange words she heard. She wondered if the maids had been talking about Kola. Not too far away, in the large living room with tall windows, Adanma was checking her phone. She was the second wife, much younger and more playful. She loved bright clothes and big jewelry, and she was known for throwing small parties for her friends. That same afternoon, she saw Oak the driver walk past, and he looked like he was holding in a laugh. Adanma raised an eyebrow and called him over. "Oak," she said, flashing a friendly smile, "why are you laughing to yourself?" He hesitated, glancing around. "It's nothing, madam," he said, trying to keep a straight face. Adanma placed her hands on her hips. "You can tell me. I won't be angry," she promised. Oak sighed. "I just heard some talk among the staff about Kola. They say he is different. Stronger than most men, if you understand." He coughed awkwardly and avoided Adanma's gaze. Adanma tilted her head, not fully understanding at first. Then she recalled some faint rumors she had heard before about Kola being very well-built, not just in his arms and chest, but in other places as well. She suddenly felt her face grow warm, and she tried to act casual. "Is that so?" she asked, tapping her foot on the floor. "Well, go on with your duties. Be careful who you share such talk with." When Oak left, Adanma sank into a chair. She laughed softly to herself. "Kola, bigger and stronger. Heem," she murmured. She looked out the window where Kola was standing by the gate, greeting a deliveryman. She could see how broad his shoulders were, and how his arms flexed when he lifted boxes or opened the heavy gate. She smiled, thinking about the rumors. She did not even notice Eket walking in behind her. Eket coughed lightly. "Are you busy, Adanma?" she asked in a calm voice. Adanma jerked slightly, turning around. "No, just checking on a delivery," she replied with a forced smile. She tried to act like she hadn't been caught thinking about anything private. Eket walked over to the window and looked out, watching Kola too. For a moment, both wives stood there, looking at the gateman with curious eyes. Neither spoke about it directly, but there was a strange feeling in the air. They both had questions about Kola's rumored size, yet neither wanted to admit it. They eventually left the room, each one pretending everything was normal. But they couldn't stop thinking about what they had heard. The large mansion felt different now. Every time Eket or Adanma passed by the gate, they found themselves glancing at Kola with new interest. And every time he smiled politely, their hearts beat just a little faster. Later that evening, the two wives sat at the long dining table with Chief Basie. He was busy tapping on his phone, replying to urgent work messages. Eket sipped her drink quietly. She thought about asking her husband if he had heard any rumors about Kola, but she stayed silent. She felt shy about discussing such personal whispers. Adanma, on the other hand, tried to start a conversation. "Chief," she said, flashing a bright smile, "we have such hard-working people in our home, don't we?" Chief Basie looked up, a bit surprised. "Yes, indeed," he answered. "Everyone here does their job well. Why do you ask?" "Oh, nothing," Adanma said quickly. "I just noticed Kola has been very active lately. Always at the gate, always ready to help." She paused and sneaked a glance at Eket. Eket kept her eyes on her plate but listened carefully. Chief Basie shrugged. "Yes, he's good at his job. I am thinking of giving him a bonus soon. Let's see." Then he went back to his phone. Adanma nodded but kept silent after that. She felt no need to press further, especially with Eket watching her. A strange energy passed between them. It was like they shared a secret thought, something they were both too proud to say out loud. Later, after dinner, Chief Basie went upstairs to make more calls. Eket and Adanma found themselves alone in the living room. The house felt quiet, the voices of staff drifting from far away. For a moment, the two wives just stared at each other, each trying to guess what the other was thinking. Eket cleared her throat. "So, you like how Kola does his work?" she asked in a casual tone, though her eyes were sharp. Adanma smiled sweetly. "Yes, I think he's doing well," she answered. "Why do you ask?" Eket tapped her fingers on the arm of the couch. "No reason," she said softly, but her gaze flickered with curiosity. Neither woman said more. They both stood and went in different directions, each with her own thoughts. Eket climbed the stairs to her bedroom, and Adanma drifted down a hallway to check on something else. But the same question lingered in their minds. What did the rumors about Kola really mean, and why did it make their hearts race so much? That night, the house grew quiet, but the new whispers had stirred up a storm in the minds of Eket and Adanma. They would never look at Kola the same way again. Each wife had her own secrets and wishes, and they were about to collide in a way none of them expected. Soon, they would all find themselves drawn into a web of desire and lies. A web spun by the curious rumors that started in the warm kitchen that very afternoon. Early the next morning, Eket woke up with a heavy feeling in her chest. She had barely slept, thinking about Kola and the whispers she had heard. She washed her face and looked in the mirror. Her eyes were tired, but she forced a small smile before heading downstairs. As she moved through the hallway, she noticed Adanma walking toward the dining room from the opposite side. They almost bumped into each other near the table. For a moment, they stood still, surprised to meet so suddenly. "Good morning," Eket said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Good morning," Adanma replied, adjusting the bright scarf around her neck. They sat across from each other at the table. Eket poured herself some tea, while Adanma picked at a small plate of fruit. The room was quiet, but each wife kept stealing glances at the other. It was like they both had the same thoughts running through their minds. Finally, Eket cleared her throat. "Did you sleep well?" she asked. Adanma shrugged. "Yes, I guess. You?" "I slept, but I had strange dreams." Eket paused, remembering the images that flashed through her mind at night. Kola's strong arms, his gentle smile. She shook her head, trying to focus on something else. Just then, Kola walked by the tall windows outside. He was wearing his neat uniform and carrying a set of keys. Adanma followed his movements with her eyes. Eket noticed and felt a sudden warmth in her chest, like a small fire. She tried to hide it by sipping her tea. Adanma set her plate aside and stood up. "I have a few errands to run. I might need the car soon." She glanced at Eket. Are you going out today? Eket shook her head. I'll be inside most of the day. But I may need Kola to help me if I have any visitors. She said it casually, yet her tone hinted at something else. Adanma picked up her purse. Well, let's see who he helps first, she joked, though there was an edge in her voice. She gave a quick smile, then walked away. A little later, Adanma stepped out to the driveway, where Oak was polishing the car. Kola stood near the gate, greeting a courier who had arrived with some documents for Chief Basie. Adanma watched Kola with curiosity, noticing how he moved so confidently. She waved at him. Kola, come here for a moment. Kola locked the gate behind the courier and hurried over. Yes, madam. Adanma smiled. I might go to the market. Could you help me load some things into the car when I return? I want to buy fruits and vegetables. Kola nodded. Of course, madam. Let me know when you get back. She thanked him, then climbed into the car. As Oak drove off, she looked at Kola in the side mirror. Her heart beat faster than usual. She felt a rush of excitement, though she knew she should be careful. Inside the mansion, Eket paced around the living room. She pretended to check the flowers in a vase, but her mind was on Kola. She remembered how people said he was polite and strong. She also recalled the maid's whispers about his body. She scolded herself. I shouldn't be thinking about him like this. But her thoughts refused to leave. She walked over to the window just as Kola returned from the driveway. He was about to pass by when Eket knocked on the glass. Kola looked up, saw her, and came closer. She opened the window halfway. Kola, she said gently, do you have a moment? I need help with something upstairs. Kola nodded. Yes, madam. Eket closed the window and went to unlock the main door. She felt her heart pounding. Calm down, she told herself. It's just a small favor. But her feet felt heavy as she led Kola upstairs. They reached the hallway outside her bedroom. Eket pointed to a large box of old clothes that she wanted to move into a storage room. I can't carry this alone, she said. Can you help me? Sure, Kola replied, lifting the box easily. His arm muscles tightened under his shirt. Eket watched him for a second too long, then quickly looked away. Her cheeks warmed. He carried the box down the corridor, and Eket opened the storage room door. The space was dim, filled with old suitcases and dusty furniture. Kola put the box down in a corner and turned to Eket. She was standing by the doorway, her hands clasped together. Is there anything else you need, madam? He asked politely. She hesitated. Her eyes flickered to his strong arms. She knew she should say no and let him go, but she felt a strange urge to keep him near. She took a small step forward. Yes, she trailed off, unsure how to continue. Then she cleared her throat. Thank you, Kola. I appreciate it. Kola gave a short nod. You're welcome, madam. He moved to pass by her and leave the room. Suddenly, the door swung a bit, and Eket realized if she let go of the handle, it might close on them. She laughed nervously, stepping aside. Watch your head, she said, trying to make the moment less awkward. Kola slipped through the doorway, and Eket followed. She closed the door behind them. As they walked back to the main stairs, she searched for something else to say, but no words came. Her heart drummed so loudly that she worried Kola might hear it. At the top of the stairs, Kola paused. If you need more help later, just call me, he said. Eket thanked him, watching him disappear down the steps. She stood there, feeling both relieved and uneasy. Meanwhile, Adanma returned from the market and asked Kola to carry the bags to the kitchen. The sun was hot, and Kola's shirt clung to his shoulders. Adanma fanned herself, pretending it was only the heat bothering her, but she couldn't stop staring at him. You're very strong, Kola, she said with a playful smile. These bags are so heavy, but you lift them like they weigh nothing. Thank you, madam, he replied, placing the bags on the kitchen counter. Adanma leaned forward. Do you work out a lot, or do you have some secret? Her tone was light, but her eyes sparkled with curiosity. Kola smiled, a bit shy. I do some exercises every morning, madam, but mostly it's just from working around here. Adanma nodded slowly. That's good. I admire people who keep fit. She noticed the curious look on Beesa's face as the maid set aside the groceries. Adama realized she was probably too obvious with her questions, so she quickly changed the topic. Kola, thank you for your help. I think I'm good now, she said, letting him leave. Yet, even as he walked away, she wished she had asked him to stay longer. Later that afternoon, Chief Base's friend dropped by. Chief Basie was not at home, so Iket and Adanma had to receive the guest. They sat with him in the living room, offering drinks and snacks, but the man seemed upset that Chief Basie wasn't around. He barely stayed for 10 minutes before leaving in a hurry. Once he was gone, Iket sighed. Chief never tells us anything about his schedule, she said, rubbing her temples. She thought about how often her husband was away. Adanma nodded. He's so busy with work that he hardly notices anything here, she said, folding her arms. They both sat in silence for a moment, feeling how empty the house seemed without Chief Basie. Then, across the window, they saw Kola checking the gate lock. Their thoughts drifted again to the man outside, the one who was always there, rain or shine. Iket stood up and moved to the window. Adanma, she said quietly, do you sometimes wonder if Chief Basie cares about us as much as his business? Adanma joined her by the window. I wonder that too, she said sadly. It can be lonely in this huge house when he's gone. The two wives stared at Kola as he worked. The gate glimmered in the late afternoon sun. Kola looked so focused and calm. It made them think of the rumors again. How he was said to be bigger and stronger. Neither wife spoke these words, but their thoughts were the same. What if we find the attention we crave somewhere else? By nightfall, they both retreated to their rooms, each lost in her own thoughts. Iket typed a short message on her phone, planning to ask Kola to fix a broken light in her sitting room the next day. Adanma sat on her bed, scrolling through pictures, thinking of another excuse to call Kola close. Both women felt their hearts twist with a strange mix of excitement and worry. They did not want to say it out loud, but they were each drawn to the same man. It was like a secret fire burning in their chests, one they had never felt before. And so, as darkness covered the mansion, Iket and Adanma made silent plans. Each decided she would find a way to spend time alone with Kola. Each believed she could win his affection first. Neither of them wanted to think about the consequences. They only knew that the emptiness in their lives felt too deep, and Kola was the one man who seemed to fill that void. They had no idea how much their desires would soon change everything inside Chief Base's home. But at that moment, the future was clear in their minds. Get Kola's attention and keep it, no matter what. That same evening, the large house felt strangely quiet. Chief Basie was away on another trip, and the staff had finished most of their chores. Iket stood by a window in the upstairs hallway. She watched the moon rise over the high walls, feeling a slight chill run through her arms. She wore a light robe over her nightdress, unsure if she should stay awake or go to bed early. Downstairs, she heard soft footsteps. She peeked over the banister and saw Kola. He was checking the locks on the front door. Normally, he did this routine check and then returned to his small room near the gate. But tonight, Iket felt a sudden urge to speak to him. She placed her hand on the rail and quietly walked down the stairs. Kola, she called in a low voice when she reached the ground floor. The lights in the hallway were dim, making shadows dance on the walls. He turned, looking surprised. "Madam," he said, "is everything okay?" Iket nodded but stepped closer. She could hear her heart beating. "I noticed a light in the garden flickering," she said, hoping to sound calm. "Can you help me check it?" Kola looked toward the back door. "Yes, madam. Let me get a flashlight." She followed him outside, into the cool night air. The garden was still and silent. Large lamps stood among the flowers, casting faint yellow circles on the ground. One lamp near the tall rose bushes blinked on and off. Iket led Kola there, pointing at the wires. He knelt down and fiddled with the small switch. "It looks loose," he said, twisting it gently. "We might need a new bulb." Iket folded her arms, pretending to watch the lamp. But in truth, she was watching Kola's broad shoulders in the moonlight. She remembered the stories about his strength. She suddenly felt warm, even though the night air was cool. After a moment, Kola stood up. I tightened it, madam. It should last until we get a new bulb tomorrow. Are you all right? Eket cleared her throat. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. She smiled, taking a half step closer. The soft smell of roses surrounded them. Kola looked at her, waiting for a signal to leave. But her eyes lingered on him, and she did not step back. For a long moment, they stood in silence. Then Eket reached out, almost without thinking, and touched his arm. I'm grateful for all your hard work, she said, her voice shaky. Kola swallowed, clearly unsure how to respond. Thank you, madam, he whispered. Eket felt her heart pound even harder. Something about the night, the moonlight, and the gentle darkness made her feel brave and scared at the same time. Before she could stop herself, she leaned in and pressed her lips to Kola's cheek. It was just a quick kiss, but it made her entire body tremble. Madam, Kola said softly, looking around as if worried someone might see them. Eket realized what she had done. She stepped back, her face warm. I'm sorry, she managed to say. But Kola surprised her by gently placing his hand on her shoulder. He looked into her eyes, and in that brief moment, everything else disappeared. No one else in the big house mattered, only the two of them, standing among the roses. They shared a slow, nervous kiss. A rush of feelings washed over them. Excitement, guilt, and a strange relief. It was as if both had been holding their breath for a long time. When they finally pulled away, their hearts were beating fast. Eket felt dizzy. She couldn't believe what she had done. She knew it was wrong, but she also felt more alive than ever. Kola glanced at the dark windows of the mansion, worried someone might catch them. I should go, he said quietly, stepping back. I have to wake up early tomorrow. Eket nodded, tears of confusion filling her eyes. She watched him slip back into the house, then out the front door toward his small room by the gate. She stood there for a few more minutes, thinking about what just happened. Then she hurried inside, her mind racing. Early the next day, Adama was full of energy. She had slept well, dreaming about finding a moment alone with Kola. She spent extra time picking out a bright dress and brushing her hair. She wanted to look her best, though she told herself it was just a normal day. After breakfast, she asked Oak to drive her to the shops downtown. But she had a plan to return early, hoping to catch Kola off guard at the house. She bought a few groceries, some new slippers, and chatted with a friend. Then she rushed back home, making sure she arrived before noon. When Adama entered the foyer, she noticed Eket was nowhere in sight. She guessed Eket might be upstairs or in another part of the mansion. She took a deep breath, heading straight for the back door that led to the storage room. Near the storage area, she saw Kola arranging some tools. He wore a simple t-shirt and jeans, which showed off his strong arms. She paused, letting her heart steady. Then she stepped forward with a smile. Kola, she called, setting down a bag of vegetables. I need your help. Can you carry these for me? He turned around. Of course, madam, he said. He picked up the bag with ease, his muscles flexing. Adama glanced around to be sure no one was watching. Follow me, she said, leading him to a small, unused corner of the storage room. There, she opened a cupboard and placed the vegetables inside. Kola stood close behind her, waiting for instructions. The air felt thick, and Adama could barely hear anything over the sound of her own heartbeat. Thank you, she said, turning to face him. I'm glad you're here. You always know how to help me. Kola shifted his feet. I try my best, madam, he replied, not meeting her eyes. Adama rested her hand lightly on his forearm. Are you happy here, Kola? Working so hard, day and night. He paused, then shrugged. It's a good job, madam. Chief Basie pays well, and I don't have many complaints. Adama smiled. That's nice to hear. She realized her hand was still on his arm, and her heart skipped a beat. She felt a sudden rush of courage. Stepping closer, she tilted her head. Kola, do you ever get lonely in that small room by the gate? He looked at her, eyes wide, as if he didn't know what to say. Sometimes, he whispered. Adanma lifted her other hand and gently touched his shoulder. I feel lonely too, she said in a quiet voice. Chief Basie is away so much. She paused, noticing how Cola's breathing had changed. She could sense his nervousness, and it made her own nerves tingle. Without waiting for his reply, she stood on her toes and kissed him. It was soft at first, but then it grew bolder, fueled by the emptiness she'd felt for so long. She wrapped her arms around his shoulders, and he held her. For a moment, time seemed to stop. When their lips parted, Adanma felt breathless. She looked into Cola's eyes, seeing a mix of surprise and longing. Then, footsteps sounded in the corridor outside. Someone was passing by. They froze, holding their breath until the footsteps faded. Adanma giggled softly. We should be careful, she said, her hands still resting on Cola's shoulders. He nodded quickly. Yes, madam, he agreed, stepping back. We can't let anyone see us. Adanma smoothed her dress, trying to calm her heartbeat. Thank you for your help, she said, lifting the grocery bag from the floor as if nothing unusual had happened. I'll put these things away now. Cola swallowed and whispered, I should return to my post. They exchanged a long look, and then Cola hurried off, slipping out the side door. Adanma stayed behind, pressing her fingers to her lips. She felt a swirl of excitement and guilt in her stomach. That evening, Cola sat on his small bed in the gatehouse, thinking about both encounters, one with Aket under the moon, another with Adanma in the storage room. He never planned for any of this. It just happened. He felt happy and worried at the same time. If Chief Basie ever found out, Cola could lose his job, or worse. Still, he couldn't deny that being close to them sparked something inside him. They were both kind to him, and they were both so lonely. Cola had never imagined he would catch the attention of one wife, let alone two. It felt like a dream, and also like a big secret he had to hide carefully. Meanwhile, Aket locked herself in her bedroom. She paced around, remembering how it felt to kiss Cola in the garden. She told herself it was just a moment of weakness, that she would not let it happen again. But deep inside, she knew she wanted more. She could still feel the press of his lips on hers. Adanma, sitting in the living room, also struggled to keep her face calm whenever staff walked by. Her mind replayed the scene in the storage room. She wondered if Cola was thinking about her too. She told herself that no one could find out, not even Aket. She wanted Cola's affection all to herself. And so the mansion settled into night once again, with 3 people holding a secret that could tear them apart. Aket, Adanma, and Cola each felt a mix of excitement and fear. None of them realized this was only the beginning. Soon, their choices would lead to deeper desires, hidden lies, and consequences that nobody could stop. For now, though, they each told themselves they could keep it under control. They believed no one else would find out, and that life would go on smoothly. If only they knew how their hearts and decisions would clash in the days ahead. But in this silent night, they allowed themselves a brief hope that everything would stay simple, that this new fire burning inside them would never be discovered. Aket woke one morning feeling lightheaded and weak. Her stomach felt uneasy, and she had trouble eating her usual breakfast. She tried to brush it off, telling herself it was just stress from the secrets she was keeping. But by the 3rd day of feeling sick, she began to worry. She noticed she was also more tired than usual and guessed something might be happening with her body. She stood in front of her mirror, pressing a hand against her belly. Could I be pregnant? The thought made her heart race. Chief Basie had been away for a while, and she couldn't remember the last time she was truly close to him. If she really was pregnant, it would raise questions. She thought of Cola and felt both excitement and fear. I need to be sure. That same day, Adanma was also having strange symptoms. She felt dizzy in the mornings, and certain smells made her feel like throwing up. She paced around her room, wondering if it was something she ate. But her period was late, and a scary thought crept into her mind. What if I'm pregnant too? Adanma didn't tell anyone right away. She knew if she asked the family doctor to visit, Aket or the staff might notice. So she decided to handle it quietly. She planned to see a private doctor in town the next time she went out. Meanwhile, she tried to act normal, but her eyes kept drifting to her belly whenever she passed a mirror. A few days later, Iket found a chance to speak with the same private doctor she had seen once before. He was known for not asking too many questions. She made an excuse to go shopping and slipped into the doctor's small clinic. After a brief check, the doctor gave her the news. She was indeed pregnant. Iket's heart pounded. She felt both happy and worried as she left the clinic. She whispered to herself, "It must be Cola's child." She closed her eyes for a moment, leaning against a wall. She thought of how sweet he had been and how gentle his touch felt. But the danger of Chief Basie finding out terrified her. She placed a hand on her belly and told herself she had to be strong. Around the same time, Adanma visited another private clinic on the other side of the city. She was so nervous that her hands shook while she waited. When the doctor confirmed she was pregnant, she gasped. Her mind raced with questions. What will I do now? How can I keep this secret? And what if Iket finds out? On her way home, Adanma stared out the car window. She pictured Cola's face and remembered the stolen moments they'd shared. A small smile crossed her lips, but she also felt a chill in her chest. If Chief Basie learns the truth, this could ruin everything. Both wives returned to the mansion, hiding their news as best they could. But their moods changed in small ways. Iket became quieter, often lost in thought. Adanma grew more jumpy, snapping at the maids when they asked too many questions. The staff noticed, but they said nothing out loud. Everyone knew it was safer not to pry. Late one afternoon, Cola was in the corridor, wiping sweat from his brow after fixing a broken lock. Adanma spotted him and stopped to say hello. She tried to keep her voice cheerful, though she felt butterflies in her stomach. "Cola, did you manage to fix that lock?" she asked. "Yes, madam," he replied, offering a small smile. "No one should have trouble opening that door now." Adanma nodded. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Thank you. You've been very helpful." She paused, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. "How have you been?" Cola looked uneasy. He cleared his throat. "I'm fine, madam. Just busy." His eyes flicked from left to right, as if expecting someone to walk in on them. Adanma tried to steady her breathing. She wanted to tell him about the baby growing inside her, but fear held her back. What if he panicked and ran away? Or what if Iket heard about it first? After a tense moment of silence, Adanma just said, "We'll talk later," then hurried down the hall. Cola stood there, confused. He felt a strange shift in the air. Adanma seemed more anxious than usual. And he had noticed lately that Iket also wore a worried look on her face. That evening, Chief Basie returned from his trip without warning. He walked into the main living room with a briefcase in hand, surprising everyone. The staff rushed to greet him, taking his suitcase and offering him a cold drink. Iket and Adanma quickly composed themselves, each woman hiding her secret. Chief Basie looked around. "Why does the house feel so quiet?" he asked in a light tone. Then he frowned at the sight of Iket's tired face. "Iket, are you feeling okay?" he asked. She forced a small smile. "I'm fine, Chief. Just a bit of a headache." Adanma also came forward, giving him a quick hug. "Welcome back," she said. Her voice was shaky, and Chief Basie raised an eyebrow. "Are you all right too, Adanma?" he asked. She nodded too quickly, trying to put on a bright grin. "Yes, of course." Chief Basie studied them both. He felt something was off, but he decided not to push. He simply announced he would be going to his study to make some phone calls. As he walked away, he turned back once, noticing how tense his wives looked. Maybe they've had an argument, he thought. Meanwhile, Cola stood outside, at his usual post by the gate. He saw Chief Basie's car drive in earlier and felt a wave of worry wash over him. What if Chief Basie already knows something? Cola tried to shake off the thought. No one had confronted him yet, but the guilt was there. He couldn't forget his stolen kisses and secret moments with both wives. Later that night, after Chief Basie had eaten dinner and gone up to his room, Iket slipped out to the garden. She needed fresh air. The moon was bright, and she stood near the roses, remembering the night she kissed Kola right there. She placed her hand on her belly again and felt tears prick her eyes. How can I keep this hidden for long? Suddenly, Adanma appeared at the door to the garden, also seeking a quiet place. Seeing Iket already there made her pause. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Neither knew the other was pregnant, but each could sense a tension they couldn't explain. Iket wiped her face with a tissue. Couldn't sleep? She asked softly. Adanma shook her head. No. Too much on my mind. They stood side by side, both thinking about the same man, both carrying his baby. Yet they had no idea they shared this burden. In the silence, the crickets chirped, and a soft breeze blew through the leaves. Adanma finally broke the quiet. Iket, do you feel like something has changed around here? She asked. Iket glanced at her. Yes, but I'm not sure how to explain it. They said nothing else. Each wife was too scared to talk about her secret. Instead, they turned and walked back into the mansion, each heading to her own bedroom. In their separate rooms, they lay awake, thinking of Kola and the life growing inside them. In the gatehouse, Kola couldn't sleep either. He stared at the ceiling, remembering Iket's gentle touch and Adanma's warm kisses. He could sense that something was happening, but he didn't know what. Both wives seemed distant lately. He worried about the day when the truth might come out. Little did they all know that the changes in Iket's and Adanma's bodies were about to become harder to hide. Soon, the signs of pregnancy would be too clear to ignore. And when that happened, the mansion would be thrown into a storm of questions, blame, and heartbreak. For now, they clung to their secrets, hoping no one would see the truth that was quietly growing in the shadows. Early one morning, Adanma stood in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. She noticed her belly looked a bit rounder. She gently placed a hand on it, her mind filling with both joy and fear. She remembered the doctor's words, "You're pregnant." The reality felt heavier each day. She wondered how long she could hide this from everyone, especially from Iket. She suspected that if Iket found out, it would become a battle. I must stay one step ahead, she thought. Down the hall, Iket was also aware of her growing belly. She wore a loose gown, hoping to conceal any changes. Her mind was filled with thoughts of Kola and how he might react if he knew about the baby. Does he suspect? She wondered. And what about Adanma? Does she know anything? Each time Iket saw Adanma, she felt a strange tension in the air. They barely spoke more than a few polite words. Still, Iket had a nagging feeling that something was off. Later that day, Chief Basie left for a business meeting. He would be away until late evening. Iket and Adanma stayed behind in the mansion. As soon as he was gone, the staff seemed to relax a bit. But both wives felt their own secret worries growing stronger. Each tried to think of ways to secure Kola's attention without drawing too much notice. Iket decided to start her plan by talking to the staff. She quietly found Basie, one of the housemaids, in the laundry room. Basie was folding sheets. Basie, Iket said softly, looking around to make sure no one else was listening. I need your help with something. Basie nodded quickly. Yes, madam. What do you need? Iket moved closer, lowering her voice. I want you to keep an eye on Adanma. If you see her spending time with Kola or whispering with him, let me know right away. Basie's eyes widened. Yes, madam, she answered, not daring to refuse. She could sense Iket's serious tone. Iket smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. Do this for me, and I'll make sure you're rewarded. With that, Iket turned and left, leaving Basie feeling both curious and nervous. She knew better than to question a direct order from the first wife. Meanwhile, Adanma walked through the hallway searching for Kola. She found him by the back door, checking some tools. She waved him over. Kola, she said, trying to sound casual, I have a small favor to ask. Could you help me in my room with a stuck window? It won't open properly. Kola put down his tools. Yes, madam, let me check it. Adanma led him upstairs to her bedroom, closing the door behind them. The room was quiet. A soft scent of perfume hung in the air. She pointed to the window. It's this one, she said, stepping aside. But as Kola moved to examine it, she stood close behind him, watching his every move. He gently pushed the window frame, testing it. "It's a bit tight, madam," he said, using a small tool from his pocket to loosen the latch. Adanma inched closer, her heart beating fast. She could almost feel the warmth of his body through his shirt. When the latch finally popped loose, Kola turned around, nearly bumping into her. His eyes widened for a moment, and Adanma placed a hand on his shoulder to steady herself. "Ah," she said, laughing nervously. "Thank you, Kola. You always solve my problems so quickly." He nodded, stepping back. "It was not too difficult, madam. Is there anything else you need?" His voice shook slightly, recalling the secret moments they had shared before. Adanma bit her lip. She almost told him about the baby, but fear held her back. Instead, she reached out and lightly touched his arm. "No, that's all," she replied. I appreciate you." Kola gave a small nod. "I'm glad to help," he said softly. Then, wanting to avoid any sudden drama, he slipped out of the room. The moment he was gone, Adanma sighed, pressing a hand to her belly. "I'm certain he should know soon," she thought. But she wanted to find the perfect time. Maybe after she made sure Aket wasn't too close to him. Downstairs, BC peeked out from the laundry room. She had seen Adanma and Kola climbing the stairs together. Now she saw Kola alone, walking back down. Quietly, she hurried away to find Aket. She was determined to do her job well and please the first wife. She found Aket in the kitchen, sipping a glass of water. "Madam," BC whispered, "I saw Kola follow Adanma to her room. They stayed there for a short while, and now he's coming down." Aket's hand tightened around her glass. "I see," she said, her voice cold. Her suspicions were right. Adanma was trying to get close to Kola again. "Thank you for telling me. You can go now." BC bowed her head and left. Aket stood still, feeling anger churn inside her. She wanted Kola's attention to herself, especially now that she carried his child. The idea of sharing him with Adanma felt unbearable. She set her glass on the counter and closed her eyes, thinking of a plan. Soon after, Aket slipped away to find Kola. She found him in a small corridor, polishing a metal handle for a cabinet. She walked up quietly. "Kola," she said, folding her arms across her chest, "I hear you've been helping Adanma with a window in her room. Is that correct?" Kola froze for a moment, then turned to face her. "Yes, madam. She asked me to fix it." Aket studied his face. She saw a flicker of worry in his eyes. "I also need your help. Can you come to my sitting room? There's something I want you to move." Kola nodded. "Yes, madam." Without another word, Aket led him to her private sitting room. It was a cozy space with a sofa, a small table, and tall windows. Once inside, she closed the door. Kola looked around, noticing no heavy boxes or furniture to move. "What did you need me to move, madam?" he asked, setting his cloth aside. She stepped closer, her tone quiet. "There is no furniture to move. I just wanted to speak with you." Kola swallowed hard. "Oh, all right, madam." Aket took a deep breath. Should I tell him about the baby? She wondered. Part of her was scared. Another part of her felt a burning desire to keep him close. She chose her words carefully. "Kola, I know I'm asking a lot from you," she said, looking into his eyes. "But I want to make sure we understand each other. The time we spent together, it meant a lot to me. I don't want Adanma getting between us." Kola looked away, guilt tugging at his chest. "Madam, I never meant to cause trouble," he said softly. "I'm just doing my job." Aket felt tears sting her eyes, but she held them back. "I'm not blaming you," she whispered. I want you to be careful. If we get caught, it will be bad for both of us. And I don't want Adanma stealing your attention." Kola ran a hand over his hair. "I understand, madam." Aket reached out and held his hand. She could feel her heart beating in her throat. She leaned closer, pressing her forehead against his. In that moment, all her anger and fear mingled. She felt the need to secure Kola's loyalty, to make sure he wouldn't be swayed by Adanma's charms. Without warning, a knock sounded at the door. Both of them sprang apart. The door opened just a crack, and Bisa's voice drifted in. "Madam, I'm sorry to disturb you, but Adanma is asking for you in the main living room. She says it's urgent." Eket gave Kola one last look, then cleared her throat. "Yes, I'll be right there," she said. She straightened her dress, and he quickly grabbed his polishing cloth. They both tried to appear normal as she opened the door. Bisi pretended not to notice anything and walked away, leaving Eket and Kola behind. Eket hurried to the living room, her nerves on edge. She found Adanma standing by the sofa, arms folded. "What is it?" Eket asked sharply, keeping her voice low. Adanma forced a quick smile. "Chief Basi called. He said he wants us to prepare for a guest tonight. Some business partner will be staying for dinner." Eket exhaled, relieved it wasn't something more serious. "All right, I'll speak with the cook." Adanma stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. "I notice you've been busy lately, Eket, always giving the staff extra instructions. Is there anything you'd like to share with me?" Eket's stomach twisted, but she kept a calm face. "I am simply taking care of the house. You could do the same." Adanma smiled sweetly, though her eyes were cold. "Of course. I'll make sure everything runs smoothly." Then she leaned in, her voice dropping. "I'd keep an eye on Kola if I were you. We wouldn't want him to be distracted, would we?" Eket's heart raced. She realized that Adanma was hinting at something, maybe suspecting a closeness with Kola. But Eket refused to show fear. Instead, she shrugged. Kola knows his duties. Adanma stepped back, a smug smile on her lips. "Yes, he does. Excuse me now." She brushed past Eket and left the room. Alone, Eket clenched her fists. This was no longer just a simple attraction. Now, it was a power struggle between two pregnant wives, each determined to keep Kola for herself. And with Chief Basi in the dark, the secrets kept growing deeper. Neither Eket nor Adanma knew how close they were to being found out. Their daily games of spying and manipulation were about to spiral out of control. But for now, both wives focused on their next moves, determined to win Kola's loyalty, whatever the cost. They told themselves they could handle the secrets, but the truth was tightening around them like a rope, and soon it would snap. Early the next morning, the whole mansion buzzed with tension. Eket and Adanma barely spoke to each other, and both of them kept a watchful eye on Kola. Whenever he walked by, Eket would try to chat with him, and Adanma would find a reason to call him away. It felt like a tug-of-war, and Kola was the rope. Chief Basi noticed something was wrong. After breakfast, he cornered one of the housemaids. "Why is the house so quiet?" he asked, voice low. "It feels like everyone is hiding something." The maid shrugged nervously. "Chief, I'm not sure," she stammered. "Maybe the staff are just tired." She dared not say more, fearing trouble. Chief Basi didn't believe her, but he let it go and headed to his study. Still, his instincts told him there was a secret in his own home. Meanwhile, Adanma stood in her bedroom, pacing. She was sure she could no longer hide her pregnancy for much longer. Her dresses felt tighter around her waist. She rubbed her belly, thinking, "I need to make sure Kola is on my side before anyone finds out about the baby." She decided that the best way was to confront Kola and secure his promise. So, she hurried downstairs, looking for a moment when Eket was not around. She saw Kola alone near the garden door, carrying a stack of papers. "Kola," she whispered, motioning for him to follow her outside. They slipped into a quiet corner of the garden, out of view. "What is it, madam?" he asked, setting the papers aside. Adanma's heart beat quickly. She placed a hand on his arm. "Kola, I have something very important to tell you," she began, her voice shaking. I'm going to have a baby." She paused, watching his face closely. He blinked, confused. "A baby?" he echoed. She nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. "Yes, it's yours. I didn't mean for this to happen, but it did. Now I need you to promise you won't abandon me." Kola looked stunned. He stared at the ground, mind racing. "Madam, he trailed off. He felt a rush of emotions, fear, guilt, and a hint of excitement. But mostly, he was scared. What if Chief Basie finds out? He thought, this could ruin all of us. Adanma grabbed his hands. "Tell me you'll stand by me," she pleaded. "I can't face this alone." Before Kola could speak, they heard footsteps. Someone was coming their way. Quickly, Adanma and Kola moved apart, trying to act normal. Eket rounded the corner. She froze when she saw them together. "What's going on?" Eket asked, her eyes darting between them. Adanma cleared her throat. "Nothing," she said quickly, tossing her hair back. "Kola was just showing me some papers for the garden." She gave Eket a bright, fake smile and hurried inside. Kola fidgeted nervously, then followed Adanma, leaving Eket standing there. Eket felt her blood run cold. She knew Adanma was lying. She remembered how Adanma had warned her about keeping an eye on Kola. Now she suspected that Adanma must be planning something big. "I won't let her win," Eket told herself. Without wasting time, Eket found a moment to call Kola into a small storage room. She shut the door, leaving them in dim light. Kola stood there, looking worried. "Kola," she said, her voice trembling. "We need to talk. I'm pregnant. It's your child." Her words came out shaky, but determined. Kola stared at her, stunned. "Eket, He couldn't finish the sentence. He felt like the room was spinning. "Yes, I am," Eket confirmed, tears in her eyes. "We have to be careful. If Chief Basie discovers this, we could lose everything. But I need to know you won't betray me." Kola pressed a hand to his forehead, heart pounding. He had just heard the same news from Adanma. Both wives were carrying his children. He felt trapped in the biggest secret of his life. Before he could respond, the storage room door swung open. Chief Basie stood there, glaring at them. He had followed quietly, noticing how Eket and Kola disappeared. Now he found them together, the air thick with tension. "What is going on here?" Chief Basie demanded, his voice echoing in the small space. "Why are you two alone in the dark?" His eyes blazed with anger and suspicion. Eket swallowed hard. "Chief, I was just asking Kola to fix something," she lied, backing away from Kola. Chief Basie stepped forward. "Don't lie to me," he roared. "I've sensed something strange between you, and now I find you together in this hidden place? Explain yourselves." Neither Eket nor Kola could speak. They both stared at him, hearts pounding. Then, behind Chief Basie, Adanma appeared in the doorway. Her eyes darted around the cramped room, taking in the frightened faces. "Chief," Adanma began softly. "Eket and Kola might have some explaining to do." She paused, her expression serious. "You need to know the truth." Eket's lips trembled. "Adanma, don't." She tried to stop her, but it was too late. Adanma pointed at Eket, then at Kola. "Chief, she's been close to Kola in ways you wouldn't approve," she said bitterly. "I've caught them whispering at odd hours. I suspect she's pregnant, and Kola might be involved." Eket gasped in shock. "You snake," she spat at Adanma. "Why are you lying?" Chief Basie held up a hand. "Enough," he thundered. He turned to Eket. "Is this true? Are you pregnant? And is this man involved?" His eyes flicked to Kola, rage burning there. Eket froze, tears streaming down her cheeks. She wanted to speak, but fear locked her mouth. Kola felt sweat bead on his forehead, and his legs felt weak. He knew if he told the truth, it would destroy everything. If he lied, it might be even worse later. Suddenly, Adanma stepped in again, her voice shaking. "Chief, you must also know, I'm pregnant too, and Kola is the father of my child." Everyone stared at her in shock. Eket's face turned pale. Chief Basie looked like he couldn't breathe. His eyes flicked between his wives, struggling to understand the words that had just left Adanma's mouth. Eket found her voice. "You see? She's just as guilty. It's not only me." Chief Basie slammed his fist against the wall, making them all jump. "Both of you, pregnant by him," he roared, pointing at Kola. "Have you all gone mad in my house? How dare you betray me like this?" He whirled around, glaring at Kola. "You! How dare you touch my wives?" Kola had no words to defend himself. His tongue felt tied, and his thoughts spun. In one moment, every secret was laid bare. Adanma's eyes were wet with tears, but also shone with defiance. Eket sobbed, clinging to the wall for support. Chief Basie clenched his jaw, his face red with fury. "I can't believe this," he growled. "You will all pay for this betrayal." He looked ready to explode, his fists clenched at his sides. The small space felt like it was closing in. In the silence that followed, heavy with tension, only the sound of rapid breathing filled the air. Everyone stood frozen, hearts pounding, eyes wide. No one knew what Chief Basie would do next. Would he kick them all out? Would he call the police? Would he harm Kola? Finally, Chief Basie spun on his heel and stormed off, leaving the others behind. Adanma and Eket stared after him, tears streaming down their cheeks, each clutching her belly. Kola leaned against the wall, feeling the whole world crashing down. No one said a word. They just looked at each other, realizing they had reached the boiling point. The truth was out, and the consequences would be huge. Now, all that remained was the question of what Chief Basie would do and how their lives would change forever. Outside, lightning flashed in the gray sky, and thunder rumbled in the distance. It felt like a warning of the storm to come. In that charged moment, the mansion's walls seemed ready to shatter from the secrets within. And so the three stood there, trembling, waiting for the next blow to fall. A tense hush filled the house right after Chief Basie's angry footsteps disappeared down the hallway. Eket, Adanma, and Kola stayed in the small storage room, too afraid to follow him. They could still hear the echo of his rage. It was clear that their secret was now out in the open. The truth hovered in the air like thick smoke. Finally, Kola spoke, his voice trembling. "We should go to him," he said. "He's too angry. If we let him brood alone, it might get worse." Eket swallowed hard. "He will not want to see me right now," she whispered, wiping tears from her cheeks. "He might send me away forever." Adanma wrapped her arms around her belly. She felt the baby inside her flutter with nervous energy. "I can't lose everything," she said in a shaky voice. "Chief Basie might punish us in a way we cannot handle." Kola took a slow breath. He thought about how he had no power in this house. Chief Basie was the boss. Whatever Chief Basie chose to do, whether it was firing him, hurting him, or worse, Kola had to face it. "I'll talk to him," he said quietly. "Maybe I can calm him down." Eket gently touched his arm. "Be careful," she said, her eyes filled with worry. "He feels betrayed. He might not listen." Adanma nodded in agreement. "This is not just about a small mistake. We are both pregnant by you, Kola." That's a huge blow to his pride. Kola's face went pale. He understood. Still, he felt it was his duty to face Chief Basie. He turned to leave, his footsteps echoing in the hallway. He found Chief Basie in the large living room, standing by the tall windows. The older man's shoulders were tense. His hands were clenched into fists at his sides. Kola swallowed, heart pounding. Slowly, he approached, trying not to startle him. "Chief," Kola said, voice low, "I'm here to speak with you." Chief Basie spun around, eyes burning with fury. "How dare you speak to me?" he snarled. "You have slept with my wives, both of them." Kola bowed his head. "Chief, I didn't plan this," he said, words tumbling out. "I never meant to betray you. I'm so sorry." Chief Basie took a step forward, pointing a shaky finger at Kola. "You are sorry? Do you know what you've done? You have ruined my household. You have made a fool of me in my own home." Kola dared not raise his eyes. "I take full blame," he said softly. "Punish me if you want. But please, don't harm the children." Chief Basie's lips curled into a bitter sneer. "The children," he repeated, voice full of sarcasm. "Those children are my shame, my disgrace." He grabbed a vase from a nearby table and threw it across the room. The crash made Kola jump. Chief Basie pressed a hand to his forehead, breathing hard. "Leave me alone," he roared. "Get out of my sight before I do something you'll regret." Kola hesitated for a moment but then backed away. He walked out of the living room, heart pounding so loudly he could hardly think. When he returned to the storage room, Adanma and Aket were still huddled there. Their eyes darted to the doorway the moment he walked in. "What happened?" Aket asked, stepping closer. "Did he say anything? Is he calmer?" Kola shook his head, his face grim. "He's furious," he said. "I tried to speak, but he doesn't want to listen. He told me to leave him alone." Adanma sucked in a shaky breath. "Maybe we should all leave," she muttered, her voice quivering. "What if he calls the police? Or does something worse? We're not safe here." Aket glanced at Adanma with a pained expression. "Where would we go?" she asked, tears glistening in her eyes. "This is our home, and we're both expecting babies. We have no other place." Adanma lowered her gaze. She realized Aket was right. Chief Basie controlled most of their money. If they left, they would have nothing. "I don't know," Adanma whispered, hugging her belly. Kola rubbed his temple, trying to think. "Let's just stay calm. He might cool down after some time." Meanwhile, Chief Basie stormed through the hallways. The staff scattered out of his path like frightened birds. He marched up to his study and locked the door. Inside, he picked up his phone and made a few angry calls. But each time he tried to speak, his rage got the better of him, and he ended the call. He felt too humiliated to talk to anyone about this. All he could think of was how his wives had betrayed him with the Gateman. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. The mansion felt heavier than ever. A gloomy silence clung to every room, and no one dared disturb Chief Basie. Aket and Adanma kept to their own rooms, worried that Chief Basie might throw them out if he saw them. Kola hovered near the back of the house, ready to leave if things got worse. Finally, at nightfall, Chief Basie emerged from his study. He ordered the staff to gather in the large living room. Everyone arrived, hearts pounding, each person fearing for their job. Kola stood at the back, lowering his head. Aket and Adanma stayed to one side, trembling. Chief Basie's eyes were red, his face drawn from hours of anger. "I want every single one of you to know," he began in a booming voice, "that I have been betrayed. My wives, whom I trusted, have broken that trust by carrying the children of this man." He pointed at Kola, who froze. The staff gasped, eyes widening in shock. Some had suspected something was going on, but hearing it stated out loud like this was still shocking. Chief Basie continued, voice trembling with rage. "Aket, Adanma, step forward," he demanded. The two wives moved closer, trying not to faint from fear. "Is it true? You carry Kola's children?" Neither wife could speak. They simply nodded, tears streaming down their faces. The staff looked on, uncertain what to do or say. Chief Basie's nostrils flared. "Very well," he said, forcing an odd calm into his voice. "You want these children? Fine. Then live with the shame you have created." He turned to Kola. "And you. I could destroy you right now. But instead, I will give you one chance." Kola's heart hammered. He wanted to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. Chief Basie's eyes flickered with dark anger. "You can stay here, if you wish, or you can leave. But if you stay, I will not welcome you as a friend. You are nothing more than a worker, and I want no talk of these children being mine. Do you understand?" Aket and Adanma both cried out. "Chief, please," Adanma began. "The babies." He cut her off. "The babies will be raised in this house if you choose to remain," he growled. "But they will never be my heirs. I do this only to avoid scandal. If any of you breathe a word of this outside these walls, I will ruin you all." A frightened hush fell over the room. The staff looked down, not daring to speak. Kola felt dizzy, like he was caught in a nightmare. "He wants me to stay? But how can we live like this?" Aket and Adanma exchanged panicked looks, tears streaming down their cheeks. They wanted to protect their children, but the cost would be living under Chief Basie's blazing anger every day. They saw little choice. Without Chief Basie, they had no money, no home, and no safety. With a shaking voice, Eket finally whispered, "We will stay, Chief." Adanma nodded, wiping her eyes. "Yes," she said. "We have nowhere else to go." Kola stood rooted to the spot, mind spinning. He felt responsible for both women and their babies. Yet Chief Base's threat hung over him like a dark cloud. "I'll remain, Chief," he murmured, lowering his gaze. Chief Basie let out a cold laugh, then gestured to the staff. "Go back to your tasks," he ordered. No one speaks of this again. Slowly, the staff broke away, whispering to each other in hushed tones. Eket and Adanma held each other's hands, sorrow filling their hearts. Kola stared at the polished floor, feeling trapped. As the night wore on, the house felt like a prison. Chief Basie retreated to his room, slamming the door behind him. Eket and Adanma returned to their bedrooms, each hugging her belly and wondering how this strange arrangement would last. Kola went to the small gatehouse, sitting on his bed in the darkness. Lightning flashed outside, and thunder rolled across the sky. In that moment, every soul in the mansion felt the weight of what had just happened. Their lives were changed forever by this secret, now half exposed yet tightly controlled by Chief Base's power. No one dared guess what new storms might come tomorrow. And so, they each settled into a night of uneasy sleep, hearts pounding with fear and uncertainty. The question lingered in the shadows. Would they find a way to live together under Chief Base's wrath, or would everything collapse in even greater chaos? Only time would tell. And in that silence, as rain began to pour down on the mansion's roof, it was clear that this was not the end. It was just the beginning of a new, darker chapter in their tangled lives. A chapter where every day brought new risks, new secrets, and new heartbreaks waiting to unfold. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe. Here is another interesting story to watch. Click to watch now.